So welcome to our parent update meeting. Number one, first and foremost, thank you for your time, especially if you've had a long day of work as I have. We appreciate you. We appreciate you actively engaging and participating in your child's learning. And most importantly, being informed, because there are a lot of changes that are occurring every single day. And I just want to make sure that we are abreast of those changes and that parents understand all of the complexities that are occurring as we are leading through COVID and learning through COVID. So our objectives for today is that we're going to identify those steps for parent COVID reporting process. Make sure that parents, when you leave this meeting, you should be able to tell and identify the steps to request a learning hardship form. We're going to talk about attendance expectations. We're going to discuss remote learning expectations. I want to make sure that parents know that we still need to mark our calendars for the Georgia Milestones, because that is still happening. And we are going to discuss school governance council elections. And Ms. Hudson, our school governance council president, is here. So I may put her on the spot and ask her to say a little spiel when we get to that slide. We also are looking for volunteers, so we'll talk about that for Career Day. And then Fulton County now has a new school option for the upcoming school year, and I just want to make sure parents are aware of that. And again, if you have any questions throughout this presentation, you will drop them in the chat. I want to make sure before I move on that everyone is able to see my screen. Ms. Freeman, Thomas, are you guys able to see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we're rocking and rolling. And again, thanks for those who are now joining, because I see additional attendees coming in. If you just got here, drop your name, your child's name and grade in the chat for us, please. If you're calling in, if you would just let us know at the end of the meeting, we'll make sure we take count that you were present. So thank you again for being in attendance. All right, so a couple of things. Well, the biggest thing that I have to ask, and I'm asking of every parent, is number one, that in order for me to do what I can and for our staff to keep our kids safe as we are having face-to-face instruction and leading and learning in the pandemic, I need your help. We are having more incidents of COVID reportings happening, and they are happening from home. So if you yourself as a parent or a guardian of a student has tested positive for COVID-19, is currently waiting on results, or someone in your home or has been in close contact with someone who's diagnosed with COVID, I need you to do the parent COVID reporting. And there are a couple of reasons as to why. Because our kids can be asymptomatic, and we've had that happen with the COVID case at our school, where the child was totally fine. However, the child was positive. And parent was sick as a dog, and parent made us aware, and we could be putting other kids and other families at risk. And we have a lot of students that live with their elderly grandparents. We have a lot of families that are multi-family homes. We got to keep each other safe. And the only way I can know and be able to support the process is through the parent COVID reporting. There is a portal on Fulton County's website. It is literally the banner for Fulton County. You literally click on the link that says parent COVID reporting. There's also a link on our website. I put it in our newsletter. I'm putting it on Class Dojo. It is imperative that you let us know, because although it's just for the safety of everyone, in all honesty. I'm gonna give an example. We had a situation where a parent was not feeling well for the past week. Parent finally went to the doctor, got a COVID test. Parent tested positive for COVID. However, in that week when the parent wasn't feeling good, her child has been attending school. So now with this, we have a case of, so now how do we move and navigate through that? Do I need to contact every parent? Do we need to, and we have to now figure out the process through literally contact tracing. It is so important. It's imperative that we know what's going on and that parents do their due diligence and support us through that. So in the chat, Ms. Freeman has dropped the COVID reporting link. Again, it's on our website. It is also on Fulton County Schools website. I need your help in making sure you help me keep our babies safe and our staff safe. And I'm asking the staff to do the same thing, because I can't control what our staff does when they leave the building, but I'm advising them to be safe. And if they come into contact with someone in their personal lives, they still need to do the reporting so that we can keep everybody safe. Are there any questions here? And as we go through this presentation, I'm going to open it up for questions. So all you have to do is unmute yourself and ask questions, or you can drop them in the chat. All right, so I'm going to keep moving. So I wanted to talk to you about that contact tracing. It is a nightmare. Unfortunately, Brookview did have a student case of COVID, and we had to do a classroom shutdown, as I made you guys aware via the email, and I also sent it out as a calling post. We have to be aware of this process, and the first thing it starts off with is we have to pull student attendance, we have to pull student seating charts, we have to interview the students, the teachers, to see if they were in close proximity. We have to contact every parent. We have to figure out if it's a classroom closure or a school closure, and we have to report it to the state. So it is a whole process. And so again, if you help us out with that part by doing your part and keeping us informed, we can help keep our babies and our staff safe. With that being said, yes, ma'am. Go ahead and you want to unmute yourself, Ms. Holt?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I apologize, I'm driving. But this might be a more broader question, and I just kind of want to throw it out there. But I'm just wondering, Fulton County School Board, so not in a Brookview micro level, but as far as the larger picture, are they advocating to the state for like more measures in kind of regular life? Because it seems like they're trying to mitigate the spread via schools when there's not a lot being done from what it feels like from a citizen perspective as far as masking and like gyms and like things like that. What does the school board advocate to state officials as far as different ways we as a city can mitigate the spread versus dealing directly with schools?
And honest to goodness, I'm not privy to those information, like to those meetings and things where they meet with the state. Principals aren't in on those conversations. At our school board meetings, which is why I try to post it, I get as much information as you guys get. So that's why I'm asking you guys to be more visible in that. Have a parent present and ask those kind of questions, because what's being shared is what I can share, because that's all I know. Honest to goodness, Ms. Hope, a lot of that has not been open to us as far as transparency. I know they are currently, some districts are currently advocating for frontline work at schools, but it's not going to matter if we're not shutting down our city or doing the things that we need to make sure that we do it from a global perspective. So I encourage my parents to, number one, be visible and present at those board meetings. Number two, advocate for our community and have a voice with our school board so that they understand the perspectives. Because I'm going to be honest, our learning community is underrepresented when it comes to a parent voice at these meetings that I attend and all these board meetings that I share with families. So that is an absolutely wonderful question. It's a valid question, and I'm asking for your support and making sure that we kind of advocate and ask the right questions as parents to support schools. But most importantly, it's bigger than school.
Right. I attended, or I virtually attended the board meeting that was, you guys just posted a few days ago now. But I'm just kind of wondering, like, I don't know if you saw Massachusetts this morning, this week, they had a school come back from break. They tested and they had no cases, 0 cases. They tested everybody before they came back. So at this point, if they're not going to give teachers that wanted the frontline vaccine, I wonder what state officials are going to start doing as far as trying to use schools to mitigate when there's so many other options, and the kids got to get back to some sort of regular functioning learning, which you guys have done a great job of. My whole family's back in Oregon, and they haven't even gone back to school once yet. So I've been, my family's jealous because you guys have been doing a great job keeping our, kids safe and in school. So I was just kind of wondering if that's something that the, school board officials are going to start kind of putting some weight on the state officials to start making some other decisions. So that was just kind of my question.
So what I'm going to do is I have a principals meeting tomorrow with the superintendent and all that. I mean, I can ask and just find out if we can get any more like what are our next steps as it relates to our school board, in particular with safety and advocating. And I appreciate, I mean, that question. That's a great question. And if someone on admin, if you guys don't mind capturing that question for me so I can make sure I can get it right when I repeat it, that'd be great.
Thank you.
No, thank you. And again, thanks to all who have joined. I am thankful that you guys are here. I wish we had an even bigger presence because we surely have more students than this. But again, it's spread the word to families that it's important for us to be informed. Another thing I wanted to make sure families understand. So remember in December, we had our second semester learning elections, and you had to select if your child was going to be face-to-face or if your child was going to be remote. Well, the process has changed where the schools cannot make the decisions to switch a learning environment. So, for example, if you call me and say, Ms. Wallace, I want my kid to be remote, I'm going to say, okay, I can't approve that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you this learning hardship form. You're going to complete it in its entirety, and you're going to provide a rationale as to why you want to switch because you made your commitment already. I will approve it, and then I send it on to my area superintendent, and then she has to approve it. And until I get the approval back from her, that child stays in its current learning placement. So it's not as easy as me just making the switch. I'm not allowed to do that anymore. So I need parents to be informed because the process has changed.
Here, Devin, I have to buy some.
So if you need a hardship form, or if you are in need, or if you're going to request a hardship form, you can send me an email, and my email is wallacej1@fultonschools.org. Or you can email my professional assistant, Ms. Hudson, at hudsona12@fultonschools.org. Some parents are having technical difficulties. We also have hard copies where you can come to the school and we'll get you to fill out the form, and then I'll submit it. And then I send it over to her. But again, I'm waiting on my area super's approval. After we get their approval, I will have the staff to contact you to let you know, okay, the change is effective tomorrow. But you have to wait for approval, and you cannot just make that switch. So I want to make sure parents are aware because this is a new process for second semester. Any questions there?
We are good in the chat. And I've dropped the link to the hardship application as well.
Thank you so much. All right, so I want to talk about attendance. So I'm going to split this into two components. So attendance updates as it relates to face-to-face learning, and then attendance updates for remote learning, because it looks different and I need parents to be aware of that. So let's start with face-to-face. Number one, instruction begins at 7:40 a.m. And there's no exception to that. If you arrive after 7:40, parents must sign their child in. Do not drop them off without signing in. Twofold, we do temperature checks. So if you just dropped your kid outside and the temperature checks are over and your kid has a temperature, we're going to call you right back and say, come get your kid, because we're not letting them in the building if their temperature is close to 100 in any capacity, because we have to keep everybody safe. Secondly, they're minors and they should be like anyone could be outside, and we have high schoolers that get picked up outside. It's not safe. So I need parents, if you're coming late and you're coming after 7:40, you need to make sure you sign your child in and understand that your child will be marked tardy, because that is instruction starts at 7:40 and your kid is missing key information and instruction when they're late. Now, another thing I want to make sure is really clear. Again, if you selected face-to-face instruction for your child for first semester, in order for your child to be counted as present, they must be physically in the building to be marked present. So I'm going to give this scenario because this has been happening a lot this week. If you selected face-to-face, but you decided, oh, well, my child's just going to log in remotely today. You can log in remotely, but your child is considered absent for face-to-face instruction, which does go on their attendance record. It is not as simple. It is not that, because I just explained that process. It has to be approved for the area superintendent. Now, keep in mind, after 10 consecutive days of absences, so if you keep your kid at home remotely for 10 days and you haven't done that for them and you haven't gotten approval, your student will be withdrawn from the school per Fulton County's policy, because that's negative attendance that impacts the school. So please, please, please follow the process. I can't echo that enough. And remember, the learning environment hardship is not immediate. I have to wait for it to come back to me. I can't make it go any faster. It is literally at the mercy of the area superintendent for her approval, and she has to approve everyone in our zone, and there are 9 schools in our zone. We are in zone 1. Any questions there?
We are good.
Okay, so I'm going to keep going. So when it comes to remote learning, now this is extremely important. The same norms happen for time. Instruction begins at 7:40 for remote learning. Unfortunately, what's been happening is some kids are logging in at 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then they'll log in for one class, but I'm not going to go to this class because I don't like this teacher, or I forgot, or I'm doing something for my mom, I'm taking out the trash. Like, there have been a lot of instances where school has not been treated as school. If you have elected for your child to be at home, to attend school at home, you need to treat it as the structure of school, of being at home. And attendance is taken daily. And a child can be marked tardy for instruction during remote learning. So if you are logging in at 8:30, but instruction started for that reading block at 7:40, that's tardy. And that still goes on your attendance record. So if your child if you selected remote learning this semester, your child is only marked present if and only if they attend their full reading block. That's the entire duration of that reading block. So if it's an hour and a half reading block or 45-minute reading block, they have to be present the entire time, and the entire math block. So if you, like I said, if you came to reading because you like that teacher for like my departmentalized grade, but you don't like the math teacher, so you're not going to go to math, then you're absent for that day, because you have to be present for the entire reading block and the math block. And it's not just being present. So present doesn't mean you just log in and cut your camera off. Present means that you are fully engaged and you complete the assigned task, which is typically at the end of the block, which is usually an exit ticket, which is an assessment. So if your kid logged in and your kid was paying attention, their camera was on for 15 minutes, but the lesson should have been, they should have had it on the entire 45 minutes, and the teacher is teaching and the teacher calls the student's name repeatedly throughout that lesson, and the kid doesn't respond, the kid doesn't cut their camera back on, the kid does not answer any questions, we're going to assume that kid is not there for the duration of that block, and that child will be marked absent for that day. And I want to make sure I'm really, really clear. And your child has a full instructional day like they did if they were in the school building. With that being said, they need to attend all of their content areas. They have reading, they have language arts, they have math, they have science, and they have social studies. They have scheduled times for those lessons, and so they should be reporting online for those lessons. If your child is at home remotely and they don't have access to that technology, which is only applicable to pre-K, kindergarten, and first, because 2nd through 5th have devices, then they must complete their packets, their seesaws, and they need to check in for those assignments, and they have to be turned in a timely manner. So please keep in mind that your child can receive incompletes in PE and art and music in their special area classes. So if they have not been going to PE or art online or doing the task on Seesaw or Microsoft Teams, then they may have incompletes on their report cards. I need parents to be aware, and parents need to make sure they have some system of monitoring, which is why I encourage every single parent to log into their parent portal. Make sure that you are monitoring your child's attendance, because you can look at their attendance as well as their grades live in that parent portal. If you need access to the parent portal, if you've never logged in, because remember, there are no more paper report cards while we are in COVID. So you have to have access to your parent portal to even know how your child did last semester. If you need access to the parent portal, please contact our data clerk. That's Ms. Fornes. Ms. Freeman has dropped her email address in the chat. It's fornesj@fultonschools.org. Please ask. She can give you your code to log in and the steps to logging in, but you need to have access and make sure you are aware. You also want to make sure that you have direction. Well, that you, number one, Ms. Freeman just dropped in the chat the campus portal directions. So if you don't know how to log into your campus portal, there are the directions there, but you still would need a code that you get from Dr. Smith, myself, or Ms. Fornes. You need to also make sure that you check in to make sure there are no errors in attendance, because this is new for teachers too. So the marking of the reading block and marking of the math block, that is totally different for teachers. So they could very well have mistakes. And you don't want their mistakes to be the reason that you accrue 10 consecutive days or absences. So if you find an error, you're going to let Ms. Fornes know. You're going to let my assistant principal know. And we'll be able to correct and rectify those. And my assistant principal is Dr. Smith, and her email address is also listed on the chat at smithes@fultonschools.org, because we want to correct those attendance errors if there are any. So I'm going to echo this again. Attendance matters for the full instructional day and the completion of the assignments. Go ahead and unmute yourself, please, Ms. Hope.
Okay, sorry to be the annoying one, and I hope this doesn't come off rude. But if you did select face-to-face, is there a way that we could limit a little bit the amount of online stuff that they need to do? Just because when, if you selected at home, you're not having to deal with bringing your kid in on Tuesdays for one time a week, or you're not having to do any of that. When we selected face-to-face, we want them to be in school. So a little bit, and I know part of it was the break and stuff like that, but when there's 25 items in, their Seesaw app, plus they're doing regular school, it gets a little bit overwhelming from a working parent perspective.
And so one thing I want to do, number one, is I want you to have a conversation back with your teacher, because it could be that there are assignments that are specific for the online only that are in there that she could, maybe it could be arranged wrong.
Okay.
So I don't want you to be double working. And then number two, yes, there should not be an overwhelming amount of online work if they're face-to-face, because they're already in the building doing the work. So if there's an issue after you speak to the teacher, then you'll come back to me, and you, myself, and the teacher can talk about it, and we can get it cleared up, because it should not be overwhelming when they're face-to-face. Now, there is some online learning that occurs, like iReady is a non-negotiable for the whole building. Mayan, that's a non-negotiable. Okay. And I'm going to talk about that with you guys and the why a little bit later in this presentation.
Great, thank you.
No problem. And I think I see another hand raised, but I don't know who it is. Freeman, do you know who that is? I'm trying to see.
Hi, Miss Wallace. It's Miss Holmes.
Oh, hi.
Hey, it's Celine's mom.
Yes. Hi.
Hey, how you doing? I had a quick question about the attendance.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I was confused myself when, because my kids do remote learning. So my thing was, like, when they would have appointments or something like that, I would tell their teacher, but I was still seeing where it was counting them absent. So then I think I can't remember. I know Celine was absent one day, and I want to say Miss Foster.
Miss Fornes, maybe?
Miss Fornes, an email. So when they're absent during remote learning, do we just shoot her an email if we have anything that happens?
You have to have documentation just like you would if we were face-to-face.
Right.
So that's a very good question.
So I will upload everything and then just send it over in the email.
Yes, ma'am. And then we can go back and correct it in the portal.
Okay, thank you so much.
But I want to echo and I want to kind of hold my parents that are remote. Make those appointments for after 2:20. After 2 o'clock, your kid is done for the day. So if you can get your appointments at any time after 2, that will make sure that you don't have that issue, because the instructional day is over by 2 o'clock for both face-to-face and the online learner.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. And that was an excellent question. Are there any more questions? I think, is someone trying to unmute themselves? Well, if you do, just chime in and I'll be more than willing to stop and answer any questions. All right, so I want to go back over some of these remote learning expectations because this has also been a problem or a challenge for us as a school. And I am coming from a place of supporting my teachers in this because I've witnessed it as I'm doing observations, and some of the online learning has been rough. And it's not rough because we're not doing what we're supposed to do. We need support from homelands with this. So I've already mentioned the logging in on time. I need you to make sure that your learner, if they are remote, that they keep those cameras on the entire class period. What our older kids are doing is they're cutting their cameras off, and actually some of my little ones too. They cut their camera off and they mute themselves, and then they don't reply at all, right? And then when the teacher calls on them, like, I'm gonna call your name, Jackie, 3 or 4 times to see if you're going to respond, to check for participation. If the kid does not respond or even put something in the chat, they are marking them and not getting credit for participation for that block, because that means you did not remain the entire class period. So one way to eliminate that issue or error on anybody's part, have the cameras on. So we'll know exactly what's going on. And then I'm going to tell you, having the cameras on, I've been able to call parents right in the moment as I'm doing teacher observations and say, your baby is asleep. He's in his class and he is asleep, and the class hadn't even started yet. Could you please go in there and knock on his door? Like, and I need parents to monitor, because the things that are happening at home, we can't control. All right. The other thing is the distractions at home. And I know that sometimes our living spaces are multiple, like if you have 3 or 4 kids at home, it is challenging to find the separation for them to do the online learning. But we have got to try our best to create an environment that is conducive for learning and is limited, distractions as possible. Sometimes we get inappropriate adult conversations happening where we've had to mute the child and call the parents, and we can hear parents arguing with each other. We've seen parents forgetting that we're on camera and not appropriately attired. I need your help with you making the learning environment as close to school possible at home as you can. And remember that they're getting grades and it goes on their permanent record. So we need to make sure that we as parents are doing our part. Also, be mindful of your home environment, because every Fulton County employee is a mandated reporter. So I'm going to give a true instance. We had a parent who was in the background supporting their kid, but they were also smoking a substance that's not appropriate. And as a mandated reporter, we saw it. We don't get an option in what we report because we lose our jobs if we don't do that. And it's video for, like, it's a district requirement. Make sure that you are aware of your surroundings and what you are doing, and make sure that you're doing your part as parents to make sure learning is protected. Any questions there?
Miss Wallace, I want to just say thank you for hitting that subject, because with me being a parent, and yes, I understand there's a lot of young parents, and I'm a young parent, and I'm not going to lie, I'm a young parent, but at the end of the day, I've been one of those parents to hear the parents, like, I'm talking about full blown out cussing, and I'm hitting the teacher like, can you please tell whoever that is to mute, because my son is having to hear everything that's going on in somebody's background.
Absolutely. And
like that's messing up his teaching, because as a parent, I want him to be in school, but I'm high risk. So you understand me? So I have to, it's like, okay, and then there's other people's children on here. It's like, come on, some stuff, some stuff is just not made for school, but I understand where you're coming from because I hear it a lot.
And I'm airing it on the side of the transparency because that's who I am with you guys in my community. it is unfair to not only that child, your child, if they're in an instance, but the other kids, because their learning is impacted because of adult choices. And if anything, I work for kids. I don't work for any adult. I choose to be a principal because I choose to work and support children because that's what I love. And my job is to protect them. And when parents are the reason they're not safe or their learning is at jeopardy, I have to do my part. So I want to just make sure I'm echoing that. And if you could, spread the word. But I am monitoring those guys, and I do watch the videos. If I can't be everywhere at once, but if a teacher complains to me about a situation, it's recorded. We go back and we look at the videos and we report as a mandated reporter because it shouldn't have happened and that's not safe. And honestly, things are reported to us. Every kid has a Fulton County email address. So I'm going to air this out too. We've actually had instances where children have reported their parents say, please come help me. Please get me. My mama is about to beat me. Like, we've had that instance seriously. And so parents need to understand that it's a lot of stress going on for everyone. But all of my employees, from custodial to cafeteria to in the classroom instructionally, we are all mandated, and bus drivers, all mandated reporters. All right. The other thing that I just have got to put out there, because I want everyone to understand and everyone need to put in the forefront, the lovely state of Georgia, we are still taking the Georgia milestones. If you have a third grader, a fourth grader, or a fifth grader, or a second grader currently, that means that we need to be preparing them because next year they will be still testing. But this year, currently, we will be taking the milestones. So we need to do a couple of things. Number one, there are things that I need my parents to help me with because this has already not been a normal year and learning has not been normal in any capacity. When we're taking assessments, I need parents to let the kids take those assessments and don't assist, don't help, because we use that data to help us inform our instruction. Let me give an example. We give the iReady diagnostic assessment. We have kindergartners who have tested, who are reading on the fourth grade level according to their data. They administered that test at home with their parents. Later on, when we went to phase 5, those kids came to school. We administered the test. That kindergartner was reading on a kindergarten level. Inflated data doesn't help us drive anything. It hurts the kid. So I need us, number one, be honest and transparent as to where our kids are so that we can do recovery efforts because we know that school hasn't been normal and we know we have academic gaps. Number two, make sure your child is logging into iReady for a minimum of 20 minutes in reading and 20 minutes in math every single day. That program guarantees if you have and you participate in iReady and you do their program 45 minutes to 60 minutes a week, you are guaranteed to see at least 1 year's worth of academic growth from wherever you are. If you're not using the program, now mind you, they have access to it in their student portal. When they log into their class link, it's there. Make sure they do it because that's one way you can help already because it's self-paced. It's adaptive, meaning wherever your child placed on that diagnostic assessment, the program builds itself from there so it continue growing. And it's something that you can do without any thought or any extra work at home. The next thing is we have a program called Mion for K through 5. Unfortunately, pre-K is not built into their system yet, but hopefully by the end of the semester, pre-K will be added on with their text from the vendor. But Mion is like Netflix for books. Your child can build their library and have access to text digitally, and they can do projects, but they're reading their text and reading those texts at their Lexile level. And Lexile is the complexity of the text that they can handle. So we want to make sure our kids are reading every single day. And right now there's a huge Mion challenge happening. And we started this semester alone, we started announcing the winners for each grade level. And there's a big competition for the end of the year. So please, please, please allow that. And the last thing that we can do to get ready for the Georgia Milestone is we have a parent workshop February 18th. which gives you some extra time to get resources, to find strategies for it. And we have test prep websites that we're going to be sharing, because the Georgia Milestone happens every year after spring break. It is, mark your calendar for February 18th at 6 o'clock, and it will be a virtual meeting. So please, please, please plan to attend. So if you know someone who has a third, fourth, or fifth grader that should have been here that is not here, let them know, because those kids will have to take the test. Now, from what I've so far, legislation is stating that the test will not count for retention or promotion, which is a good thing, because I'm concerned that the academic gaps from not having a traditional school year are going to be vast and wide. But they're still using that data to inform and to rate our schools. So we want to make sure that we support that and that we do our part as parents. Any questions there? All right. So, Ms. Hudson, are you still here?
Yes, I am.
You want to do your spiel and help me out here with school governance council elections?
Sure, I'll help you out.
Can you show your lovely face so that they can see you and know who you are?
Really? Okay.
I love you.
Hi. I'm Miss Hudson. I'm Miss L. Hudson, because there's three of us in the building. I am representing Brookview as the School Governance Council chairperson. And the School Governance Council is designed to at least give insight to what is happening within the school itself, and also kind of like a voice for the school. That's how I can put it the easiest way. It's a voice for the school. And we're encouraging parents. We have a couple of council members on here as well, but we're encouraging parents to be more involved in the school. The information is provided on our website, and we're getting ready to have elections, and we have a parent position available. We have Ms. Kane is currently serving as one of our parents on the School Governance Council, but we need another parent. And your voices are very important when it comes to things that take place in our school, even to the district, the school board. It is very important, and we encourage our parents to get involved. We can't just let the teachers and the people that work for the school speak for the school, but your voices are more important. And what better way to voice what's going on for your student or your child in that school than to hear directly from the parent? So we're encouraging parents to get involved. Elections are coming up, and that information will be put on our school's website. You can also view all of our information as far as what has taken place, what we're doing. It is also on our school's website. So please, parents, take interest in your school, your child's school, and get involved. And it's public record, so you're able to come to the meetings, you're able to be involved, and we're encouraging that you come and join us.
And so, Ms. Hudson, you did a wonderful job. Thank you so much. I am so excited about this year's work that we've done thus far, because even in the pandemic, we didn't let us stop us. So let me give you an example of my school governance body. My school governance council is the non-voting members, and they support decisions being made in the school. They are also my voting members. I mean, they vote on things and ways that I spend, let's say, flexibility funds. One of the things that the school governance council helped me tackle initially, I could not use school funds to purchase any safety regulatory materials for my building out of a typical federal budget, because it wasn't allowed. However, we were issued some flex funds from school governance, and the school governance council voted to allow me to buy some partitions for every single student in the school to keep them safe and the teachers safe, as well as we wanted a way for us in the cafeteria, those glass windows where you can see straight through. We wanted a way for it to be aesthetically appealing, and also but keep it safe so we can see out where people can't see in. And so they voted, and we were able to, and they helped me with the design process and voting for that, as to what it could look like for our building. My school governance council helped with the redesign, from picking the furniture from in previous years for our media center renovation. So they are advocates. They help me also see community partnerships. Oh, so we need a voice from you, and we really, really want you to be active and participate and engage with your school. So if, for more information, I'm going to ask that you email my SGC president or myself. And her email address is hudsonl@fultonschools.org. So let me just do this shameless plug. So if you know you're interested in joining me for School Governance Council, or it sounds something of interest to you, just drop your name in the chat for me if anyone is willing to, and just put SGC beside your name, and we'll reach out to you to help you through the process.
Come join
Also,
us.
what'd you say, Miss? I'm sorry. Oh, good. We
Come
have Miss
join
Hope
us.
said she just sent us an email. Awesome, 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 Miss Hope. So the other thing is we currently have a school fundraiser that is still going on. And honestly, I absolutely love it. We have been doing spirit wear because if we can't do anything, we have to make school feel somewhat normal. And we want kids and families to have an opportunity to have their own Brookview swag, not just our staff. So parents, you can order everything from masks to t-shirts, long sleeves, hoodies. I'm actually wearing one currently. And it is super cute, super comfy, and no shrinkage because I now wear spirit wear every single day as my uniform, and because it's more comfortable than suits. I really want you to join in because the proceeds of this spirit will come back to the school, and we'll be able to use the funds that we raise here to help support us for things like teacher appreciation. And hopefully when we get back to some normalcy, I'll be able to do a fall festival again. These funds help us with those kind of events that we often brought our families through before COVID. The mother-daughter dances, like those fundraiser funds go for things of that nature that are non-instructional, but they count for school and family community. So the link is there and it's been dropped in the chat. And if you click on it and click on designs, these designs have already been made for our school so far. And you can literally pick the color. Like I have pink versions. I don't stick to just the red. Green, orange. They have plenty of color choices and options for you. All right. I have another ask. We still want our kids to have some sense of normalcy. We haven't been able to do out of school field trips, but we've been doing virtual things and field trips in our building. We still want to have a phenomenal career day. So for those of you who are new to Brookview, typically before COVID, we would have over 100 different speakers come and talk to our kids, from the horses to the trucks to the fire trucks to we've had music producers that are Grammy award winning and Grammy nominated, like to athletes from the Hawks and Falcons. This year, we're going to have to do it differently. So we are still aspiring to do a virtual career day. And so I want to cordially invite you to please, please, please sign up. Ms. Freeman, if you could drop that bit.ly that's on the screen there. It is on April 2nd, so you can mark your calendars now. We always do it the Friday before spring break. And you literally can sign up and say your interest. And again, it's all virtual. So you can talk about your home. If you're a hairstylist, you could have pictures and do a slideshow and let them see your work and how you help people with skin conditions like alopecia. That is what we have in all walks of life, all kinds of careers. And we want our parents to participate because the kids love to see their parents show off their skills. And we want to make sure that we give our kids a big picture view of all walks of life, because as long as it's a legal option and you can sustain your living, it's something we want you to aspire to do. We also typically, for those of you who are new to our school, during Career Day, we have College Link, where we have colleges. Last year we had Georgia Tech. They came in and did a college panel, and then they did their little cheers, and then we also had Greek organizations do a step show. I am working on a virtual option for that with Emory and Spelman. So hopefully we'll be able to solidify that and get that added on to our career week, because that entire week we'll be doing college and career activities for the whole building, pre-K through 5. Any questions there, or anyone who just knows that they want to sign up, please let us know and drop your name in the chat and we'll reach out to you as well. All right. The last thing is, I don't know if you check Fulton County's website or if you watch the board meeting, but there is a new school option for the 2021 school year for some families. Believe it or not, some families prefer online only learning and they want their kids to do that for the next school year, even if things return to normal. With that being said, Fulton is establishing a full online school for students in grades 3 through 11. And they will essentially do everything that they would in a traditional school, but all online. So if you are interested, the timeline on the right, is like right now they're looking at the curriculum and the class offerings. The application window just opened on the 25th, so this week, and the application is open until February 5th. They're going to do the naming of the online school in March and sometimes April. And then by April, the teachers who will be hired for that will be selected. And by August, this virtual school, the full online school will open for students. So just wanted to give you a FYI. There's more information that can be found on our website, well, on Fulton School's website. Now, keep in mind that it closes at a certain time. So on February 5th at midnight, those applications will close and students will, they won't accept any other applications. All right, so now I am going to stop sharing. And I want to open it up for any questions, any things or anything that I did not address that you may have of me. Right. So are there any questions in the chat? I can't see the chat anymore. It just went away.
The chat is good, Mrs. Wallace.
So parents, I'm going to invite you to not leave. We do have a wonderful math workshop that is planned for immediately following this. So if you want to take a restroom break and just stay on this channel, that would be great. We really, really, really want you to attend our math. Our math coach worked really hard on this and wanted to give you strategies you can use at home and with your kids that are face to face, because math is an area that we need to work on as a school. So if you can, please, please, please join us for our workshop, which is coming up. And this is one of our Title I required workshops.